guys! So there's no video last week, which was weird for me because I've been uploading pretty consistently since I started my YouTube channel. I didn't upload last week because I was moving rooms and I didn't have a space set up to really film, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know if this is the best option at the moment, but it's what I have, so I'm here. Anyway, I asked around what people wanted to see out of a couple of video options, and the winner was my thoughts on common plant debates. So first off is pots. Terracotta versus plastic versus whatever, I don't know. Those are the main two ones that I use, so plastic and terracotta or clay pots. Honestly, I used to not own any terracotta pots at all, especially when I just started owning plants and they would just be in the containers that I would buy them in until I would repot them into probably a different plastic pot which was most available to me. And I didn't really find terracotta pots like for a long time, and I just thought they were expensive, which is not the case at all. Terracotta pots are actually cheaper than plastic pots a lot of the time, depending where you buy them. Now I would say that it very much depends on the plant and the season, because if a plant likes to dry out more between watering, a terracotta pot might be better for it. If you are an overwaterer and you need a little bit of help of managing water, terracotta pots can be good because the water can be absorbed by the pot a little bit as well, and it can evaporate from the pot. So also water management a little bit better if you tend to overwater. It can help during the winter for your plants when they don't consume as much water, but you're not as used to watering less, which is a tip, by the way. When winter is coming, remember to water your plants less. Just keep a track on them because you will start to overwater them when winter comes. Avoid doing that at all costs. But also, there's nothing wrong with plastic pots if you don't use terracotta pots at all, and yeah, it very much depends on the plant, I think. Another thing about the terracotta pots is the debate whether or not you should use terracotta pots for Hoyas, because there was something about their roots getting attached to the sides of the clay, and if you want to repot them, it can break them and damage them or something like that. I have no experience with this. I own two types of Hoyas. One of them is a Carrii, which is actually in a terracotta pot currently, but I have not had to repot it or anything. And the other one is a baby tricolor, which is in a tiny plastic pot. So again, no experience with that. I have heard if you're planning to repot Hoyas, especially from terracotta pots, just make sure that you soak the pot before you do that and the roots let go. But again, I have no personal experience with this, so maybe you do. Leave what your experience with Hoyas and terracotta pots are in the comment section down below. And in the same realm of pots, there's whether or not you should have drainage holes or not. Absolutely, 100% yes. Drainage holes are the way to go, absolutely. Especially if you are watering with just tap water, because the drainage, what it does, it helps the plant filter out anything that the minerals or whatever in the water that it does not want or need. And the lack of those drainage holes can lead to, first of all, either overwatering because excess water can't leave the pot. So if you water it slightly too much, the water builds up in the pot, you will drown your plant. And second of all, if it can't get rid of the excess minerals or whatever it doesn't want, over time it will start to deposit it at the ends of their leaves, and it will start to look like they're like crisping or browning, which is not great for the plant either. Also similarly, in the same realm, watering and about top and bottom watering. So what is that? Top watering is just what you would imagine a watering plant is. Watering, taking your watering can or whatever and watering it from the top into the soil and letting it go out, and that's top watering. Bottom watering is the opposite. So you would sit it into something like either this pot or like a tray or something underneath it, and you would fill that with water and let it soak up upwards. It just depends. And I do bottom water some of my plants. It helps them sometimes if it's a super dry plant. Don't overwhelm it with a bunch of water at once. If you just let it sit in water and it gradually soaks up the water, it can absorb it at its own rate and help it recover a little bit. But also what I would recommend of bottom watering is that every once in a while you do top water so that it can flush out anything it doesn't need or want. And also when I bottom water, I made sure to use filtered water so that there is no excess minerals in there to start with. So yeah, and that's another debate whether or not you should use distilled or filtered water. And I would say it depends on your water quality and how finicky your plants are, because a lot of common houseplants just don't really care, especially if you're top watering and letting it drain out. It's gonna be fine with just tap water. I watered my plants with tap water for the longest time, and I still water most of my plants with just tap water. But especially when I'm bottom watering, I use filtered water. I don't use distilled water. I'm not gonna buy distilled water, but I do have a jug with a water filter, so I use the water from that to bottom water. And just in general, some of my more finicky plants, I use filtered water just in case, you know, because it would be a shame if they got crisped or, you know, didn't like the water. That reminds me of this one meme. I will put it here. Like, every time I see that, I find it so hilarious because it is very relatable. And there is whether or not you should repot or propagate plants in winter that is out of their growing season. And while I would understand why someone would say no, it's because, yeah, the plant doesn't have as much energy, doesn't have as much growth, it may take longer to recover, or it won't grow as fast, but that would happen anyway in winter. And I've repotted and propagated things winter, no problem, nothing. Like, indoors it's still warm, they still get light, they're fine. Obviously it's not their growing season, so they're not gonna grow a lot anyway, so that's kind of up to you. And I guess of course depends on the plant as well. So I don't know, I've never had a problem with doing those things in winter time. A lot of people say to wait for repotting for the spring or things like that, but if a plant needs to be repotted, I'm gonna repot that plant. Like, I don't know, again, I don't think it matters that much. Then we have ice cubes for orchids. Stupid. It's stupid, it's dumb, okay? When I first heard about this, I thought it was just like one of those haha memes of the plant community on Instagram or something, but then I looked into it and there are actual articles and like people saying like, yeah, you should water your plant orchids with ice cubes because blah blah blah. That's a whole video in itself. It's stupid. Don't water your orchids with ice cubes if you want them to survive in the long term. Absolutely not. Anyway, moving on from that stupidity, we're moving into the pink Congo scam. This can be a whole video in itself, okay? I will try to keep it as brief as possible, but I will put some background about the princess here, and I will link a video of a good explanation about the whole situation. The pink Congo looks like this, and it was introduced into the market as a rival for the pink princess, which looks like this. So you can see they're both pink philodendrons, and they both look absolutely magical and wow, and just like, how are these plants real, right? Well, the pink princess is a real plant. It grows like that and it has pink variegation, and if you give it enough light and whatever it needs, it's going to grow like that, and it's gonna have pink variegation. The pink Congo, on the other hand, is not a naturally occurring plant. It does not grow like that. The way that it gets its pink leaves is through a chemically induced process. Once that plant uses up this chemical, it starts to revert eventually. Sooner or later, it will go back to being green and kind of ugly, to be honest. Like, it will revert 100%. For some people, this lasts for like a year or something before it does that. Sometimes it's a couple of months. And originally it was introduced into the market for things like pink themed weddings as centerpieces. So you would have it for the wedding as a centerpiece, this beautiful pink plant, and it'll be beautiful, and you'd know that like it's just for this wedding, so it's just gonna stay like that for the wedding, and then, you know, it's gonna revert or whatever. Then people started selling the pink Congo either as the pink princess, saying this is the pink princess, or lying about its reversion and that it's a naturally growing plant and that the pink will not revert. It's essentially false advertising and lying to consumers about this plant, and people would get really, really disappointed when they buy this beautiful pink plant and no matter what they do, it goes back to green. Of course, some sellers were very open about this and like, hey guys, this is the pink Congo, it is not the pink princess, it will revert eventually, yes, it's a beautiful pink, buy this with caution, know what this plant is. But a lot of sellers just didn't care or would do it on purpose because the pink princess was and still is a very popular plant, like they're expensive plants. So yeah, my opinion on this is that I don't care that the pink Congo exists or that it's being sold, as long as the seller is transparent about what this plant is and the fact that this will probably eventually definitely revert back to its natural green state. So yeah, as long as you're not actually lying to your customers and are providing that information, because I also think that if you just say, look at this beautiful pink Congo, buy it from me, that is still irresponsible because a lot of plant buyers don't know the difference, and they don't know the difference between these two plants, even with the awareness being brought to the whole situation about the pink Congo and it being a scam. Maybe this will educate you as well. Beware of the pink Congo. They do look slightly different, so you can tell what is a pink princess and what is a Congo because they're different. They're not the same plant. This one's real. This one is not real. It's just not. I hope that made sense. I kind of blacked out when I was talking about the pink Congo, so yeah, maybe I will make a whole in-depth video, but I don't feel like I have to. I think I mentioned all the points that I wanted to here. And again, I will link down in the description a good video explaining the whole situation about the pink Congo if you're interested. I'm sure there are other topics that there are very debated things about. Yeah, the plant community is discourse, wow. No, I'm kidding. Like, a lot of people don't really care. It just comes down to personal preference for a lot of these things, except ice cubes for fucking orchids. Don't water your orchids with fucking ice cubes. It's stupid. I was going to make like a whole video explaining why you should not water your orchids with ice cubes, and I was going to buy an orchid and show you what happens to it, but also it will be a waste of money because this orchid will absolutely die and it would be sad to watch this orchid die. So I don't think I'm going to make that video. Trust me, don't water your orchids with ice cubes. It's dumb, it's stupid. I was getting a little heated there because it's really stupid and people do that. In the meanwhile, yeah, leave a comment down below. Remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I've never actually said this, but click the notification bell and turn all of your notifications on to see my future videos. And again, I will hope to have another video out tomorrow and get back to being slightly more consistent. I don't have like an upload schedule or anything, but I do try to stick to at least one video a week. This has been a very long-winded outro, but yeah, that's it.